Happy Wednesday! I hope you're having a fantastic week. If not, it's okay. It's part of life. You've heard me say this many times before, that when times are bad and when we're facing very difficult and challenging times, it's incredibly and perfectly normal, because I don't think there's a single human being on earth whose life is perfect. And I know that it may seem contrary on social media when the people you're following seem to have lives that are free of problems and that they look perfect and the lives they're leading seem pretty perfect. And so when we're feeling down and when we're feeling hurt or when we've gone through a very difficult experience, it's really easy to feel even worse when we feel like our life shouldn't be like that. You know, we feel like there is like this benchmark of what a happy life should be like because of what we see on social media and what we consume basically, you know, on the web and on TV and in books. And so one of the main reasons why I feel like it's really important for me to talk about unhappiness is because I make videos on happiness, and I don't want any of us or any of you to compare your lives to mine or to feel like there is a pressure to be perfect. You know, I don't want you to feel like happiness has become like this pressure, and I want you to know that when you're going through hurt or like difficult experiences, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, like if you are not like feeling happy right now, it's really okay, right? And this is why I make a lot of effort to define what happiness is. And in my book, I write about how it's possible to be unhappy yet still live with happiness, you know, because the way I see happiness, it is not a lack of problems. You know, like happy people don't have less problems than we do, right? They just have a way to accept and learn and overcome whatever it is that they're going through. And in acceptance is also a way of overcoming, you know, which I'm going to talk about a bit later. And so like Heather here is saying, it is okay to be not okay. And in my book, there's actually like an entire section on unhappiness and on why it's okay to be not okay. And it's not just me telling you that it's okay to be not okay, right? It's basically logic when you really think about it, because we are human beings. So being human means that, you know, we're very susceptible to pain and hurt and physical and mental and emotional suffering. And so if it's not okay to be not okay, does this mean that like we should be different from the humanity that is us? Do you know what I mean? Like, to be born is already an indication that we're here to learn about ourselves and about our lives. And so we are definitely going to go through challenges. And so if we're not okay with all the hurt that comes with certain challenges, then does that mean that we're not okay with being human? Do you know what I mean? So in effect, happiness it's really about being able to see that, you know, to see that this is normal. It is part of life. And so today's topic is, how can we heal from hurt or any kind of negative experiences that we've had, whether it's like a really painful breakup or any kind of traumatic experience that you've had growing up or even at work or even in your relationship or in your family. And you want to do that. Like, we want to do that. We want to like move on and we want to like heal from our hurt, because life is short. We all know this. However, when we're in pain and suffering, it's very easy to let the days just become unimportant. You know, like when we're in pain, it feels like the time we have on earth, number one, is indefinite, because 1 hour can feel like one day. You know how like when you're going through something very difficult, like time seems to pass so slowly, right? It's like when you're having fun, it's like time flies, right? But when you're going through something really painful, it's like it's already so hard to get up from bed, right? And so then you kind of feel like the day is really long, right? And so it's easy to kind of like forget that time is passing and that like we are getting older and there is a limit, like the time we have on earth is not finite. And therefore, I think we owe it to ourselves. We want to do our time here on earth justice, so that whatever hurt we've experienced, we want to be able to heal from them and move on and move forward, because we don't want to let that rob us of the constant joy and beauty that can be experienced every single day, right? And so I think this is why it's very important to address hurt and pain and unhappiness in life. And how do we move on from that? How do we recover and heal from an experience that has been negative? And in this chat, I want to endeavor to read more comments as well. So if you have any questions, or even if you have like a hurtful experience that you want to share, or you've had an experience that you feel that was really bad and painful for you, and now, you're in a different place, or even if you're in the same place, right? Feel free to write and share. Rim here says, I notice when we become older than 20 years go by even faster. Yeah, as you grow older, time seems to fly faster. Hi to everybody saying hi. Hi Jane, hi Naru, Ariba, Julie, Linda. I hope that this topic resonates with you. Hi Connie, hi Peter, hi Heather. Jin, you have a few questions, ask away. Kay, Ian here asks, how can we find happiness in this time of pandemic and all that is causing? Well, whatever is going on in this world right now, it's not that you don't have to be affected by it, because we're all affected by it, right? And I think one of the main things we have to understand is that being affected by something does not mean that we cannot be happy. And this is something that we ourselves have to truly understand why that is. Now, I personally believe that whatever it is that we're going through right now, whether it is this pandemic or whether it's a personal challenge or issue, it is up to us to equip ourselves with certain tools to be able to still access our happiness. Now, why I say access our happiness is because if you watch my videos, I only say that our happiness don't disappear. When you're not feeling happy, it's just a feeling. It's like how, sometimes you feel angry and it passes, right? So anger and sadness and happiness, right? And pleasure and enjoyment, all these feelings will come and go. So if we define happiness as a feeling, then obviously during the times of crisis, like this pandemic, or if you lose your job, or your relationship breaks up, or someone cheats on you in a relationship, or your family doesn't want to talk to you, or whatever it is, it'll be very hard for you to be happy if you define happiness as just a feeling, because it doesn't feel good when negative experiences happen. It doesn't feel good when undesirable circumstances present itself. It doesn't feel good when people cheat on us or lie to us. It doesn't feel good when we get laid off work. It doesn't feel good when we have financial worries, or we're worrying for the health of our family or kids or parents. It doesn't feel good. Now, we have to be able to understand that not feeling good is an emotion, and we human beings are creatures of emotion, which means that emotions come and emotions go. If we depend on happiness as an emotion, then our ability to live with joy every day is really reduced, because emotions are so fleeting. So one moment, you'll be like, oh my God, life is so great, right? When everything is going well, it's like, I feel so grateful, I'm so lucky, I feel, life is really good, I feel so happy, right? Everything in the world is going well for you. And then the next moment, something terrible happens. Maybe you broke your laptop, something as simple as that, and you're feeling really frustrated, and then you feel really unhappy, and then you'll be like, I'm really unhappy today. And so for us, what we want to be able to separate is that, well, we can experience a range of emotions, and that can include frustration and sadness, and it can include joy and pleasure, right? However, true happiness is our ability to look at the situation and go, oh my goodness, it already happened. It is what it is. Sure, it's painful. Sure, it sucks. Sure, this is not ideal. And sometimes it's incredibly hurtful. But guess what? It already happened. And so this is why day 8 of my happiness program is all about don't give your power away, because it is at this juncture that we have to look within ourselves and go, well, when something has already happened, it's in the past, and none of us have the power to change the past. This is why a lot of us suffer, because we want control. And when things happen outside of our control, we kind of feel bad or guilty, if we've made a mistake, so we kind of feel like bad and guilty for that. Or we kind of feel like frustrated and angry that things are not going our way. And that is a sign that we actually want control. None of us, maybe not none of us, but a lot of us don't go through life thinking, oh, I want control. I want to control people. I want to control things. I want to control my life. Maybe we don't think that consciously, but if we observe our reactions towards something undesirable happening, and you observe your frustration and your anxiety and your stress and your anger, it is a sign that we cannot accept what has just happened. And one of the main reasons why we cannot accept what has just happened is because it is not what we want. It is not desirable, which means that ultimately, if we had control of it, it wouldn't have happened that way. We wish that things were different. And that's the thing, right? A lot of suffering is due to the fact that we human beings keep thinking that we can control things. And the fact is that, no, we cannot. What we can do is use our power to influence the present. We cannot change what has already happened because that is the past. And of course it's hard. Of course it's painful. No one's saying that, oh my God, just get over it, right? Honestly, when you're feeling down, even just advice just think positive. It doesn't work, right? Because you're already feeling negative, right? Or just chill out, bro, or just get over it, or that's not healthy for you, just stop doing it. If only it were that easy, right? But because we're such emotional creatures and we want to be able to not suffer. However, the key to being happy and to healing, it really does not start with thinking how to be positive. When we are hurt or when we have been hurt, it's not about, just start trusting people again. It's not that. It's not as easy as that. If it's as easy as that, then all of us will be doing it and we'll have no issues, right? We can just let go of what has happened and it wouldn't bother us. But the key really is to look at the situation full in the face and accept it. And this is why healing from hurt is so hard, because it's really hard for us to accept what has already happened. And if we really look deep within ourselves, one of the main reasons it's hard for us to accept is because there is blame somewhere. Most of the time, it is blame on the outset towards the other person for what has happened. But when we examine deeper, a lot of the times it is blame towards ourselves. A lot of the times, one of the main reasons we cannot move past hurt is because there is some sort of guilt or blame somewhere, right? And I'm not talking about outward blame. Sometimes we can blame ourselves without even realizing it. If you've ever questioned, is it me? Maybe it's me. I think that maybe I don't deserve better. Something must be wrong with me, right? All of these thought patterns is a kind of blame towards ourselves. And this is why it's so hard for us to heal from hurt and move on, because it's a part of ourselves that needs some kind of closure or resolution that tells us that it's not us, that it is not us that are broken, that it is not us who's not worthy of love, that it is not us who doesn't deserve this love or this acceptance, right? Because deep down inside, we question when something hurtful has been done towards us, or we experience something that can be considered as a rejection, or it breaks our heart completely, or we're just confused over what happened. A lot of the times, even though we're angry, even when we have blame towards other people, a lot of the times the inability to heal again comes from ourselves. What is it that we constantly need from ourselves? And a lot of the signs point towards, if you look at why you're holding on to anger so much when something has already happened and when you've been hurt, it really has very little to do with the other person. It has a lot to do with why. Why is it that we are holding on? And this is something that I do want to go a bit deeper as well. So many things I want to go deeper on, but I kind of feel like I want to read some comments, because I do want to read more comments today and answer your questions. And also, I have like 3 kind of suggestions on how to actually heal, right, from hurt and pain, and I do want to share that with you. Okay, so let's see. Naru here asks, why do some friends always say bad words to us even though we don't really want to be friends with them? Why do bad words affect me so much? Is it okay to make contact or stop immediately? One more thing, is this what true friends do? Naru, I feel like you need to ask yourself about why you want this friendship. And number 2, I think, no, before this, you need to ask yourself, like, are they really saying negative things about you? Maybe it's not negative, maybe it is negative, and you got to consider that, right? Are they really saying negative things about you, or are you just taking it personally because of your own sensitivities? You have to examine that. And secondly, if you determine that they are saying negative things about you, then the question is, why do you want to be with people who bring you down? I'm not saying reject your friends. I'm not saying you're too good for them. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying that you need to understand yourself. You're asking me whether it's okay to keep contact with them or to stop being in contact with them. I think the question I would ask you is, ask yourself, what is your need to be friends with them? Why is it that you feel like you still want to be friends with them? And just ask yourself genuinely and truly, without judgment towards yourself. You know, a lot of the times we, number 1, don't even know if someone is unhealthy or toxic for us, and number 2, it's hard to distance ourselves. It's hard to break up with somebody who we know is toxic for us. It's really hard. And so it's not about like, oh, you should just leave or you should not be friends with them. It's really about you understanding why you're still there in this situation. And most importantly, I think you have to understand why it affects you so much. Why are you taking it so personally, right? And so if you haven't read my book, I really think you should read it. I talk a lot about this, about taking things personally and understanding yourself better. So let's see. Heng Yi here asks, how do I heal from ending a relationship that was close to perfect? Background, we broke up mutually as I could not give in to his requirements from religion. I think number 1, you have to ask yourself, if you're still watching Heng Yi, why is it that you feel like you need to heal? What is the hurt that has been inflicted? And I think that, okay, so this is one of the strategies, I think, when it comes to healing from the hurt, right, that we've experienced, is we need to understand what kind of hurt it is. And I'm not talking about like, oh, you know, it's because he cheated on me and or she left me or they lied or I lost my job, you know, like that. Those are surface reasons that we can see. When I say examine what kind of hurt it is, it's about asking yourself, am I hurt because I feel rejected? Am I hurt because there are rules and I followed the rules, but I actually don't like these rules and I want to do differently? For example, religion, right? Are you hurt because you actually want to be with the person, but because of the rules of religion, you cannot? Is that why you're hurt? Are you hurt because you feel lonely, right? Are you hurt because you fear that like nobody else can be as compatible with you? Like, we have to understand what kind of hurt it is. Is it a hurt from our need to be accepted? And when we ask ourselves even deeper, it's like when it comes to religion, it's, well, is it because I feel unaccepted? You know, if you love me enough, wouldn't I be enough for you? Why must religion come into play? You know, and so we have to ask ourselves these questions, because once we've kind of like understand our hurt and identify what kind of hurt it is, then we can ask ourselves, okay, then what do I want actually? right? Because Heng Yi, if you initiated a breakup, there must be a reason you initiated the breakup, and you know logically that it is the best for you. However, now it's about acknowledging your heart and your emotions. So what makes sense, may not compute with what your heart feels. So we need to be able to acknowledge what the heart feels as well. And I think that sometimes it's not so much that you're hurting because you want to be with the person. It's you're hurting because some parts of you your heart has not find some kind of resolution. And when I say that we can't find the resolution, I mean we don't understand ourselves enough. And we have to spend time to understand ourselves. Like think of like your best friend, and when your best friend is going through some very difficult time, you need to understand your best friend's scenario and how she's feeling, and to know the whole picture. You need to spend a lot of time understanding, listening, caring, being patient, being compassionate, right, towards your best friend, so that you can understand what she's going through. Now, we need to use the same kind of techniques upon ourselves, right? A lot of the times we try to understand ourselves, but it's on the surface. So we go back and forth between it shouldn't be like this, or I don't want it to be like this, or why can't it be better, or I wish it was different, or it hurts so much, or I can't focus, I'm still missing this person, I'm still thinking about this person. And so a lot of our thoughts are around this surface level, right? Like, what am I going to say? Should I reply this message, right? We're spending a lot of time. Like maybe we're even stalking the person's Instagram and Facebook and all of that, right? So we're spending a lot of time trying to understand, and it's all on the surface. But what I'm saying is to go a level deeper and to understand your hurts, which is to understand your hearts. Because sometimes we don't even know what we want. Sometimes it's not that we want the person. Sometimes we just want to feel accepted. And we need to find that out for ourselves. You know what I mean? So that's one of the ways to heal from hurt, and that is to understand ourselves. And this action of understanding ourselves is an action, right? Because when we've been hurt, we're just gonna instinctively stay in that zone of emotions. And when people say, you gotta get out of it, you gotta heal, and you've got to go out and see people, you've got to get your life back. A lot of it is taking the action of putting on makeup, going out, seeing people, trying to cheer yourself up, maybe go drinking, go partying, maybe eat your favorite food, go for a movie. And so these are all actions of cheering ourselves up, like music, and I think they're fantastic actions. However, we also must take the action of understanding ourselves and what it is that we fear and what it is that we need. This is an action. It's the same as you putting on music and trying to lift yourself up, right? And a lot of these things like food, music, exercise, and everything, it helps, but maybe we have not addressed deep down the source of that hurt. And so it's very easy to again succumb to that feeling of despair, it's very easy to distract ourselves instead of understanding ourselves. And sometimes we cannot straight away take the action to understand ourselves, because when we've gone through hurt, it feels so raw that even just a mere thought, we're already in tears and we're crying, and it's just hard to even get out from the bed or even go to work and function, so it takes time. And time is something that we give to ourselves in terms of compassion. It is not like, time heals everything, right? Time has not, we don't look at time heals everything, because sometimes you can hurt for 10 years, 20 years, it doesn't go away. So it's been a long time, but nothing has changed. But what I'm saying is give yourself time, meaning patience and compassion. That's different. You need time. Patience is time. So when you're not okay, we're going back to how to cope, right? When you're feeling hurt. And one of the first steps, the action to take, is to acknowledge to yourself that it's okay to be not okay, right? To be patient, that you're not feeling great right now and you're not in the best place. And that's okay. And that needs patience. Because honestly, when I've got a cut or I'm bleeding, I just want to heal immediately, you know? Or when I've gone to the doctor, or when I've put a band-aid on, you know, I've got the right medicine, I just want to recover. You know, I just want to get better. However, it doesn't happen immediately. And so it can feel so frustrating. And this is why I say give yourself time. Time meaning patience. I'm not saying that time means you will heal completely and you'll forget everything, any emotional pain that you've had. No. But patience with yourself is one of the language of self-love. Patience is one of the composites of self-love. And there is no greater need for self-love than in a time that we feel hurt. You know, because yes, we can distract ourselves all we want. So we can even take a lot of medication. But ultimately, it is how we feel towards ourselves that changes everything, that sets the tone. And so when we've been hurt, the few feelings that we're experiencing is worthlessness and doubts and insecurity and fear. You know, these are the emotions that we are experiencing when we've been hurt. And so we need to be patient with these emotions because they're not going to go away the next day. Right? If you feel worthless, how can you tomorrow feel worthy? If you doubt yourself, how can you the next day feel absolutely self-assured and have a high self-esteem? You know, I'm not saying this to say like, oh my God, there's no hope, you know, like it's so hopeless. It's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that, you know, happiness at the end of the day is logic. And to me, it's not logical to expect ourselves to heal from any kind of wound that we have, a physical wound, the next day. So similarly, experience hurts. Maybe it's not a wound, you know, like it's not something you can see, but emotionally you're down, you're empty, you're feeling all sorts of difficult emotions, right? Worthlessness and doubt and insecurity and fear. I mean, these are very, very heavy emotions. And so, you know, just distracting ourselves with movies and food or company and just trying to think positive is not going to remove the real problem, right? And so we need to be able to learn to understand each of what the components of hurt that we're feeling. If it is doubt of ourselves, if it's because, you know, after the experience, I doubt myself, then I've identified the main cause of my hurts. Because if we do not identify the main cause of our hurt, then in our mind, the main cause of our hurt will always be other people hurting us or the circumstance hurting us. And the reason I'm saying this is not because you should not blame other people or circumstances. Not what I'm saying. That's not why I'm saying this. I'm saying don't blame other people or circumstance, because if you do, your suffering will be double. Why will it be double? Because inherently, our suffering and the hurt that we feel comes from one of the components, whether it's guilt and blame towards ourselves, whether it's self-doubt, whether it's worthlessness, whether it's the fear of rejection and the need for acceptance. One of these components is the true source of our hurt. It's already one source of hurt, one level of hurt. If you also think that, oh, it's because you left me, it's because you rejected me, it's because the pandemic happened, it's because it's not fair, it's because, you know, like any external circumstance that has happened. If you think it's because of that, then there's two hurt. So there's one hurt that it's a real hurt, which is actually one of the components we have to identify. Is it self-doubt? Is it fear? Is it worthlessness? Is it rejection? What is it that we're hurting from? If we're not focused on this and if we're not focused on this, it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. We haven't identified it yet. And that's why we're hurting every day after that hurtful experience. After something can be in the past, but you're still hurting now every day, right? Because all this has not been acknowledged yet. We have not embarked on the journey to understand ourselves. We have not taken the action to understand our hurts. And therefore, no matter how much we try to think positive or distract ourselves from the pain that we feel, we will always come back to feeling depressed and feeling like we're unworthy and feeling like our life is not good at all and it's really hard to be happy, and every day can feel like a struggle because we have not examined the real source. What we have constantly been doing, whether it's been a month that it has already happened, or whether it's been a year that it has happened to you, or maybe it's been 10 years. But if it's still a struggle and you're still in hurt and pain, it is because a lot of your understanding is still on the surface. You are still very focused on what has happened to you. The person did this, right? Or maybe I did something wrong, or this is unfair, or I don't understand why it happened, right? We want to let it go, but we cannot, because it's not like we're not trying to understand. We are trying to understand, and this is why it's so freaking frustrating and upsetting, right? Because a lot of the time when you've been hurt, there are no answers. It's especially if you've been hurt by someone else, right? And if they've moved on in love, right? And you love this person, but they're no longer in your life. It's hard to find that closure, right? And whatever they tell you, maybe you don't even believe it, right? And so I think that is why a lot of our suffering stays with us long after the experience has expired, has gone past. It's in the past. It hurt us in the past, but today it's still hurting us. And I think like the answer to that letting go, it is not like, oh, you know what? I decide to let go, so tomorrow I let go. Why? Why is it that you can't let go? It is not about, I want to let go. Obviously, we all want to let go. Who doesn't want to let go? Like, we know that we should let go. It's like saying, just be happy. Obviously, I want to be happy. The question is how. So I'm here sharing with you a perspective on the how. One of the ways on how to let go of hurt and heal is to understand the components of our hurts, which requires a lot of self-reflection and honesty. Ask yourself, like Mandy, how to overcome it. Ask yourself, am I hurt because he or she did something to me? Or am I hurt because I feel worthless? Am I hurt because he or she did something to me? Or am I hurt because I now doubt myself? I don't know if I'm deserving of love. Am I hurt because I crave acceptance and it's so hard to get acceptance? I think that people accept me and then this thing happened. Like, why are you hurt? And this is important because once you've identified the why, about which component of your hurt it is, then you can go even deeper. And if it's, for example, you feel worthless, right? If you've identified that your hurt is born out of you feeling worthless, and maybe it's a little bit of self-doubt that comes along the way, that jumps in there, and maybe a lot of fear of being alone also jumps in there. Maybe it's a mixture of things, right? But you have to be able to identify like what is the main thing, right? And if it's a few things, that's fine, as long as you can look at yourself and identify it. Because when you can do that, then you go deeper in and you look at why you feel worthless. Why? And your answer at the beginning will always be what has happened. I feel worthless because the person broke up with me. I feel worthless because the person left me. I feel worthless because, I've gone through a really traumatic experience. Like one of my best friends, she was raped when she was in college. And that was one of the hardest experiences of her life, And she, for a long time, felt like she had so much self-doubt and fear, and she had to identify that, right? And so on the surface, a lot of it has to do with what has already happened. However, when we go a bit deeper, we can really ask ourselves, Is my feeling of worthlessness born out of just this incident, or have I been searching for a sense of relevance for many, many years? And this is why this experience impacted me so much. Do I believe that I need this person in my life to feel complete? Or do I believe that I need a person in my life to feel complete? Do you know what I mean? For example, if someone broke up with you, you may feel like you need this person in your life to feel complete because you've identified that you don't feel worthy because the person rejected you. However, when you understand yourself better, you may discover that it is not that you need this person for you to feel complete. It is that all along you feel like you need someone in your life to love you, to feel complete. And maybe that's what you're searching for. And maybe that's why this feels like such a rejection. It is not the man or the woman that you actually want. Maybe it is your search of love, of acceptance, of respect, and the fear of being alone that drives you to think you want this person, but actually you just want someone to love you and accept you. And if that is the case, then we go even deeper and we ask ourselves, why is it that we are wired this way? Why is this a pattern? Why is this so important to me? Why am I seeking love from the outside? Why am I constantly seeking acceptance from others? And do this with no self-blame and no judgment. When I say ask yourself why, you're not asking in this tone like why? Why you need to find love outside? Why is it that you're not enough for yourself? You're so stupid. That's not how you talk to yourself. Talk to yourself with kindness. Talk to yourself like how you talk to a child. Right? When a child is crying next to you like they're 4 or 5, you're not going to say like, oh, why are you crying? Oh, you shouldn't be crying. You'll be like, oh, are you right? Like, tell me why you're crying. Different tone. So make sure you pay attention to the tone of your own inner voice when you're talking to yourself. And when you ask why, and you ask why, and you ask why, then you will begin to understand that, oh, this feeling and this fear of not being enough comes from actually, maybe when I was young, this thing happened. Or maybe when I was at work, when I first started my first job, my colleague or my boss said it to me and it's kind of imprinted onto me from then on that I'm not good enough. Or maybe, my parents got divorced when I was really young and, I've kind of felt like I need to earn the approval of people. If not, then I'm not worthy. Like whatever the reason is, we find it. And when you actually can find it, then that is when you can let go. Only then we can truly let go. I'm not saying that everybody needs to go through this process. Some people can let go much easier, and that's great, But a lot of us, if we're holding on, you're not stupid for holding on. You're not weak for holding on. You're not anything for holding on. You're human if you're holding on. And the question is not, why can't you let go? The question is, why is it that I keep holding on? There must be a reason. I truly believe that we human beings don't do anything without reason. However, I do believe that us human beings don't even know the reason often. And this is why I encourage you to go down the deeper layers of understanding yourself. This is an action that we take to heal from hurts, because it is not until we go through these layers and examine all the different whys in a very kind way towards ourselves with time, which means with patience. Don't expect it to work immediately. Nobody understands themselves with 1 sleep or 2 sleep immediately. Yes? Our habits have been formed since we were young. Our patterns have been formed since ages ago. This is why it's hard to let go. And if you do this, and when you finally find one of the whys that resonate with you, then you can give yourself the significance and the acceptance and the love that you need. Whether you need some help from friends sometimes, maybe you need help from a therapist to talk through things, all these are great tools to use, right? You don't have to go through it alone. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you judge yourself, that is when you fear that people would judge you. And I want to say here right now that I don't judge you. So you don't need to fear judgment. Wow, that makes me sound so arrogant. Like, I don't judge you, so you don't have to fear judgment. That's not what I mean. But if you kind of feel like you need someone in your camp, someone who has your back, I'm telling you, I can be this person. I am this person for you. Like, I believe wholeheartedly in your ability and in your goodness. And I believe wholeheartedly that you are worthy. I don't have to meet you in person. I already know this because I feel like we human beings are very similar. And if I believe that I am worthy, then you must be worthy too, because we are not different. We just have had different experiences, and that affects us in different ways, and we're not smarter or stupider than another person. We're not weaker or stronger. We just need to build our skills and our abilities, because all of us have gone through different schools, right? We've had different privileges, we have different circumstances, and so that explains why it's easier for some people to let go and have peace and be happy, and why it's harder for some people. It's nothing to do with whether you are better or more worthy. Understand? Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Linda. Okay, I'm going to log off right now because I have a meeting happening in 15 minutes. So I want to say good night. Yuri and Yuri won't be able to come on tomorrow because he's busy with work. He's still scoring the film. So Yuri has told me to let you guys know that as and when he can come on, he'll come on. And I don't know if you guys still want me to come on and talk to you like this, just me but myself. If yes, you can comment, let me know. I know that I said I'll read a lot of comments today, but I didn't manage to read so many. I just feel like a lot of these things are important for me to like just let it out. So maybe tomorrow, like if you guys are tuning in right now, tune in tomorrow, because I think I'll come on and I'll talk to you guys, and I want to read some of the comments from tonight's live chat. So I'll go through the comments and I'll look at certain like questions that you have, and tomorrow I'll be able to like read some of them out loud, and tomorrow you can also be here, okay, to ask your questions as well if I've missed any of yours. Yeah, so I'll see you guys tomorrow. It's always a pleasure. And yeah. Oh, Peter. Yes, I'll ask Mom to join me on one of the days that Yuri's not able to come on. Have a great Wednesday, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye. Be happy always.